We're here with painter Sebastian Salvo. We're gonna have a walk with him, exploring his mind, his work. We have here at Campbell. So join in.
Very good. Yeah.
So what's your thoughts as we're standing here about this work of yours?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is first of all, it comes a bit inspired also by Greco, Greek painter. I think he was a student of Titian, and then he moved to Spain. And one of his works, he has this composition of Laocoon and his sons. And there's this stretching figure of one of the sons of Laocoon that is wrestling with the snake. So I just got that image, and I thought that I could really like to make something like that in a bit of a bigger format, like life size, because Greco's composition is smaller. It's not life size. So that just stuck to me for a while, and then later it was this idea of reading Joseph Campbell also on the hero's journey, and one of the stages of the journey is the fighting with the dragon, or fighting with the snake, or meeting that dark element there at the bottom of the cycle, which is one that the protagonist or the hero has to face before he gets the gold, or he gets the princess, or the gold and the princess, but he has to face this dark element there. And I thought that it could be a representation of that motif in a way, wrestling with the snake, wrestling with that thing that is the darkest element, that heaviness. And most of the time that stage of the journey happens in isolation, happens in the dark cave. There's no one around, and then the character has to face the most dangerous, the most darkest element there. And that's why I have begun sketching it, because I will continue working on this picture once I get it back to my studio. So there should be a city on the background. So he has left the city, the living in society, and he wrestles with its darkest, with the snake, in isolation, in solitude. So that's also a work that has to be done individually, in isolation, privately. So then maybe it could come back to the city while have already, after wrestling with the snake, maybe integrating it into Jungian terms, or beating the snake, so that thing is assimilated. And after that heaviness, that reaching bottom, that's when the character, the hero, goes ways up, back. So that's why it should stretch upwards, like a flame, like a candle, a fire, up. And that's also why I had to use a bit more of the canvas upwards, because you see that there is a mark there on the top, horizontal. That's where the composition ended up before. But the figure just met the top of it, so it looked a bit too suffocating, small, and it didn't allow the movement to go up, to flow upwards. So then I had to open up that area there and extend it a bit. So then there's this this dark sky at the top. It should rise up as a solitary star in a way. And also using some elements of composition of Titian's, for example, Saint Margaret. That is also Saint Margaret and the dragon. So she's moving towards us, and the dragon is on the bottom. And that composition has this X cross shape of composition. So then it. One moment. So that composition goes that way and that way. So you see that there's a diagonal there on the stones on the background, also reaching the diagonal up, right, and then goes down here, and then these stones kind of go in this direction, that way. So that diagonal, and putting some element here, creates some tension. Upper right and bottom left. And then if you go from here, that also leg and the movement of the body is also bringing attention from here up there. And then it goes, well, this helps a bit also to indicate that. And at the top left there, you have a little bit of a light there coming from above, and there should be more reflection on the clouds on top as well. So that I use to create a bit of this X shape, and then on top one can distract the viewer with some elements so it looks a bit randomly, but there's this structure X composition on the back. And then, like very transparently working on the background while building up the focus and the light with more thick layers of painting. So, but I guess I still will continue working on this piece for a longer time, and it's always a bit like that. Like when I put it here and I see it with the light, see what things work and what things don't work as well, then it's always this thing about, okay, now I'll bring it back to the studio and I will continue working on it. But it's a work that should stand by itself without putting it in context with other pictures, other paintings, but can also work in this hero's journey way of telling a story. If you put it together with other paintings that I'm doing, it also appears to be one of the stages of a bigger story happening. Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay, let's continue the walk, because we have many of your paintings in Parkettsalen here in Gamle Rådhusscene.
Oh yeah, we have much more here. Yeah, same principle here with this sort of X composition, but it's a bit like an 8 thing, going like that. So this painting, well, it started. The initial composition size of the painting was until here. And then you see that there's a little line here that goes that way. That's where I had to make an extension of the painting. Because it began as a self-portrait, simply a man sitting there in front of a table, looking just next to a window. But there was no story on it. There was nothing really happening. It was just this man there thinking, or in front of a table, nothing. So, and it was meant to be much smaller. So I had used this bigger canvas, this size there, but it was supposed to be like that, like half size. But then as I was thinking about what kind of story to tell here, then I was looking at a lot of books and trying to read a bit more about these old stories, and I was reading something of I think I was reading Kant at the time, and I had a big problem, and I still have that problem with him. There was this, very hard to get. His book, The Critique of Judgment, he talks about art and the genius and all this, that beauty is on the eye of the beholder, that there's nothing out there that it's objectively beautiful. And then I had that hard time. So the expression of the face, it's a bit trouble, like trying to get it, trying to find the word. And at the same time, I was trying to solve the composition. So I was really having a hard time thinking about how to solve it. And then it was, okay, if I've been reading this and I've been sketching it, then I should put the sketches or the writings and the notes and some indication of the books there of this character here that has been writing something, but it's missing that word that could put everything together. So that is when I were having a critique at Nerdrum's house. And Turid Spildo, his wife, she said, it's very strange that the composition ends up here. Because it ended up just where the feet should appear. She said, why you don't extend it and add a piece of canvas? Oof, I said, no, that's a lot of work. That means to saw by hand everything on the back and be very careful. And I said, no, I'll try to solve it as it is. Very stubborn, like hard-minded. And then I left it for like 3 months without touching it. And I've been working on it for like a year without finding a solution. So then eventually I decided to, okay, I have to add a piece of canvas. So I did the work, I extended, I add the feet here. But it was okay, the feet were ending here. But there was also this dark area on the bottom. I was like, what is it? This is lacking something. It's still not finished. And then one night there I was sitting in the studio and looking at the picture and wondering what is it? What is lacking? And then from behind some canvases that were put on leaning on the wall, behind those canvases, the cat of the house came in. And he came closer and he turned around my leg. And he was like, yes, there it is, the cat. So then I took it out and I started painting it, and I found a reference also from one of the Rembrandt's pupils. And I put the cat there. And so that was the moment when I find the solution for the whole picture, to create this movement there and to have a bit of a contrast to this a bit of oppressive atmosphere, and well, this man has been thinking too much about it, trying to find the final word to finish the poem, and stuck on his head, on his mind, looking too much inwards. Well, suddenly then the cat is coming just before he scratches his toe, and then he wakes up and he realizes sometimes that the solution for the poem is not here, but out there in nature. So to go out and say, yes, out there is the solution for this work that I've been doing. So this is just a moment before he wakes up and says, yes, there's a world out there, and then that has to be integrated in the work, and that maybe it gets it clear that the solution for his compositions, his poem, will be find Well, that's why it's called the poet.
Fascinating. Thank you very much for sharing. We have several of your well-known works here at Contextualizing in Oslo. What comes to your mind as we walk through the gallery there?
Yeah. Well, there are some works which are portraits and small paintings and compositions that maybe later that might develop into a bigger picture. So some of these things are made in small size because I can't go all the time thinking about making it full size. So, and it's very useful for me to make small paintings from time to time to have a break from those big problems. Yeah. So I can work on something, work in composition, but they don't demand this grand format, the big size. So I keep on practicing composition, keep on practicing the proportions, the use of the palette and the colors, but in a size that will not demand so much space, so much time, so much material. So it's always good to have these small pieces while you're working on a bigger piece. So you can have some relaxation there. You bring some of the things that you learn from your big project and you bring them into the small, and you see that there's something that works for that as well. And when you finish, you're working on the small, then you go back to the big, and you integrate also some of that in the big size as well. So it's always good to have 2 to 3 pictures to be working at the same time. So when you get too much stuck on one, and eventually you work so much on it that you become blind, or you become too obsessed with a particular element of your composition that for you is not working. But someone else comes and says, "Oh, that's working very fine. I think the problem is there." What? You didn't notice. Because you get kind of focus and you narrow your attention towards what you think it is a problem. So then it's when I think it's good to invite some people to see your work, know what they think, leave the painting to rest a bit so you don't see it, and you go with fresh eyes and a better mood to work on something else. But that's why these small figures and small sketches are always in the studio, and I'm always engaging into that. There's more of a short-term sense of accomplishing something. So then you can work on something and finish it in a short time. So that gratification is also there, and then you can go back to the big one with a better mood. I have done something while I thought I was completely lost. Yeah, you finish something, and then you get something to go back to the big project that you have been working for months or years.
This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We have a lot of story as one of your great values when it comes to painting, storytelling. Here is a massive painting, lots of details.
Yeah.
What's your reflections when you're standing here with this work of yours?
That there are. What made me think to get into this trouble, into this problem? It's like when you get into this kind of things, you start like very eager and with a high spirit, but then you're not really calculating how much time and how much trouble it will bring you.
Right.
But that I think it's good to be a bit naive in that sense. Like you don't really know, you don't calculate every step or whatever it might cost to get from from the dream or the idea or this little sketch to the finished version. So that in a way prevents you of not doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you know how much time, how much effort, how much study, headaches, nights in which you don't know what the hell is going to happen with it, you will never do it. So then, well, a lot of things that are working in terms of composition, the structure of the painting, it is there. The story, which is this falling of a civilization, this ending of a tradition, you could say, yes. That is the main thing, topic of the painting. So, but here there's this group of people. They are looking here to the void, to the empty space of what everyone ends up when everything falls apart. But I also see now that I have to solve some problems and bring it back to the studio, because there's something on the composition here that is not working totally. And there's something on this area, I will not reveal now what I will do, but maybe later on a talk I can show some of the improvements, hopefully, and some of the changes that I will do to this composition. So then instead of me talking about it, people will see. So instead of, they will see the actual work. But it's mostly this falling down of a civilization. You see in the background some sort of a protest, civil war, chaos going on there. Fire is being spread all over the city. You see a building on top burning, and then everything starts sinking down into this, going down into these circles of hell, of Dante in his Divine Comedy. You go down and down and down, and then you know what you end up with, right? Pride. But this is hopefully that bottom part in which everything ends. And you can't really identify who are the bad guys, who are the good guys. There's no real team, no flag identified, no standards that are being promoted there. So, and you don't really see where the threatening element comes from. It's all over the place. But at the same time, when everything sinks here to the bottom, then you have some sort of way out. And the way out is to that direction. And there's a man there riding a horse. And he carries with himself some books, texts, stories that maybe are the stories in which all of this was built from. Values, stories, the poems, the music. And he carries that with himself, and also has a rifle on his back. So he protects what is necessary to rebuild, and also has something to attack if it's necessary. And he just gives a glimpse, just a short, quick look to what is happening, the bottom of the situation. But there's no time to whip. There's no time to cry and lament on it. It requires decision and a pragmatic attitude to get a solution. That solution is to carry with the knowledge, keep it secure, have something that enables you to defend it and strongly and secure it, ride that horse, keep the knowledge and out from where everything is falling apart. And then you also have a woman here carrying a baby out. That's the next generation. So you go out with a generation, with the knowledge, with means to defend and to protect, and then there's a possibility to rebuild this anywhere, on another land, in another place, on another time. But
very interesting.
So, hey, if you have any questions, Magnus, about it, or you can tell me. But this is where it's going, and there are some modifications that I have to do and increase the contrast on some areas and do something here that you will see later.
Yeah, looking forward to see the developments and how it comes into its full potential as you see it.
Yeah,
it's very strong. It's very fitting. It's a timeless theme, but at the same time, it's so relevant. At the same time, as a human, and of course, in the times we're living in the West. But it's something that could be relevant for hundreds of years as well.
Yes.
And that is what makes this, I believe, something that takes us, gives us a big perspective, which is very liberating, but it's also very important. And the classical tradition brings that into our lives in a way, in creative works, as few other areas can. Of course, we have knowledge, but this is, in one way, knowledge that speaks to the heart and changes the desires of the heart in a way, which storytelling is very powerful to do.
Yeah, it's the thing of if you put something on a dramatic or poetic context, an image, a situation, for example, then the viewer can see it from perspective and understand what's happening in a very condensed way. So through an image you can understand what are all these apparently detached events of our life, or what has happened before, what is happening, or what might happen. It's condensed in a very simple, direct form. So, yes, this has happened. This is happening, and this will happen. This idea that we're going somewhere and we're progressing towards an era in which everything will be fine, and then we are not savages as we were 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. No, we are modern man. So we will not go through the mistakes that our grandparents had or went through. But I don't think so. I think that's the reason why we carry these stories, because it's a reminder of what has happened, what is happening, what will happen. And there are ways to prevent that. And those stories tells us what is worth to defend, what we have to be careful about, not only about other people, but of ourselves too. This pride, for example, like building up and saying we are here at the top of history, and everything, we look down on everything. Here we are top, building up to the sky, another Tower of Babel, so we can beat God, beat the Creator, and create a big skyscraper. And then, you know the story, things starts falling apart, people do not understand each other anymore, their language is completely different, and everything falls apart. So those are stories that reminds us of something eternal and timeless that is always there. So I think it's wise to go to those stories and get some inspiration and motifs that one can create now. And we are telling the same story, but with a little bit of a different shape, a variation on the same motif. And a reminder also of that we are in this eternity, that we are not going anywhere, so we have to be aware of the same problems and the same threats that our ancestors did. We don't fall into this trap of thinking of ourselves as a modern, higher human being and look down to everything around and think that myths are just fairy tales. Well, they are, but myth and dogma and religion is what fairy tales are for children. There's something there that is very practical and it's good to pay attention to. And that's why we have these stories and that's why I'm so into making these pictures. There's something about having those stories present to give us a guideline how to map this time and to map the way through eternity. We will see how that works with this picture. I'll have to work more on it.
Looking forward to the continuation. That's very fascinating. Thank you for sharing.
It requires a bit more work. Though the main story and the composition is already more or less fixed. That's how it will be. But there, of course, there are some things, some minor details here and there that could be improved. But yeah, it's two lovers, and they meet there in the woods, while eating some pomegranates there, but they didn't manage to eat very much before they embrace each other. And there's some people also having a nice time on the background there. So there's a celebration, a party, a gathering on the back. And this couple is meeting quite secretly here in the forest. So there's some dress code that, of course, he doesn't share. So all the people that are having a good time there, they're dressing in this light cloth as she does. But he doesn't wear the same cloth. He doesn't look like she and them. So he has been also carrying this little flask of water or maybe beer to drink something through the journey to meet her. So he also has been wandering with a stick because if you're walking a long road through the woods, if you find a dog or a moose, you better have a stick to scare the dog that wants to bite you. So then they meet there, and but yes, he doesn't belong there. And there's a small figure also there on the corner that is aware of what's happening without them being aware of it. So yeah, that's the story of the two lovers. What will happen later, I don't know, but I have a vague idea what could be a next chapter of this story.
Looking forward to the development. And then one of the paintings also that really got my attention was your choice of including a musician in one of your stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's not much really to say about this, but it was just to make an image of this kind of figure to kind of to pray for, to pray to. And from here, the tree here is growing upwards with all the leaves going up. And then as I turn there to the right, then everything falls down and decays a bit. So there are no leaves, no flowers, and a lot of moss, and a lack of leaves. So this circular thing is just going up, life coming up, and death then going down. And there's you have this melody in a way that holds everything together. So it's it's that. Not much to say.
I want to thank you, Sebastian Salvo, for taking this walk with us to get a glimpse into your worldview, your values and your reasons behind your work. And I'm really looking forward to see the development of these, and also to how, as we take down these, when the next opportunity will be to see some of these in real life. So thank you very much.